everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. I'm Justin, and my bird just caught fire.
I'm Nico, and I'm Bobby Britton. Think about it.
Who plays Kruger, Dan?
Oh, I get it. Clever.
Not really, but thank you.
I think it's clever.
Yeah.
I'm Dan, and I'm driving this school bus straight to the dump.
And we're here today to discuss Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. So this was directed by Jack Sholder, starring Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, Mark Patton as Jesse, Kim Myers as Lisa, Robert Russler as Ron Grady, and Marshall Bell as the gym teacher, aka Coach Snyder. So this movie takes place 5 years after the first movie. So we open with Jesse, a high schooler who has the unfortunate luck of living in the same house as Nancy from the first Nightmare movie. And he's been dreaming of Freddy, kind of including a dream where he's being abducted on a school bus. So he blames it on the house being really hot, which, to be fair, I think his dad says later on the house is like 97 degrees or something like that. And he goes to school. So he drives his neighbor Lisa to school, gets into a fight with Grady, one of his classmates, I guess, during gym class. And after a quick punishment, he heads home. Things are about to change, though. Nico, why don't you let me know what happens?
So Lisa meets Jesse in his room, and they discover a diary left by Nancy detailing her encounter with Freddy. Strange things then start to happen. One of Jesse's parakeets fucking explodes out of nowhere. And the family is just terrified of this goddamn bird. It's a wacky scene. And Jesse dreams that Freddy wants him to kill for him, doing the dirty deeds in his place. Jesse, then in somewhat of a sleep-deprived state, heads over to the local gay bar and orders a drink. But his gym teacher is also there and makes him run laps back at school as a punishment that is totally kidnapping that we're going to talk about later. Unfortunately, Freddy strikes, seemingly killing Jesse's gym teacher, but Jesse finds himself with Freddy's trademark glove on his hand. The police later find Jesse wandering the highway naked, so they take him home instead of bringing him in for any kind of questioning or doing anything else that, would have been probably logical.
Mm-hmm. So, Dan, why don't you go ahead and wrap this one up for us?
Well, seemingly undeterred by the death of their teacher, Jesse heads to Lisa's awesome pool party where all the cool kids are.
Indeed.
Jesse starts making out with Lisa, yes, but feels the presence of Freddy. And, he gets a little bit of Freddy's, well, I don't even know if it was Freddy's tongue sticking out.
It wasn't his.
It definitely wasn't his own tongue. And he flees the party. He runs into Grady's house, but Freddy emerges and kills Grady. But in reality, it's, again, Jesse who's killed his friend and is covered in blood. He runs back to the party, transforms into Freddy, and murders a bunch of the partygoers. He flees, but Lisa knows where he's going and heads to the local factory. Now, in the factory, Lisa urges Jesse to fight Freddy. At first, he doesn't have the willpower, but after a kiss from Lisa, he manages to overpower Freddy, causing him to catch on fire, and Jesse emerges. Ah, the power of love.
Indeed.
The movie closes with a sequence very similar to the start of the movie, where Jesse and his friends are on board a school bus, only to be abducted by Freddy. The end? Maybe?
Question mark. Who knows? Who knows? So, let's go ahead and kick this off, shall we? Nico, how does this movie look?
I have to say, I think this movie looks pretty good. I really liked a lot of the practical effects that they had with some of the scenes where Freddy's just kind of like, chest bursting out of Jesse, and some of the scenes where, like, in the beginning of the movie when their house is just like stupid fucking hot all the time and their appliances are just like fucking melting. I thought that looked cool. And I just think for what it was, the like gore effects and stuff that they had, they looked pretty sharp. So combining that with a generally pretty bright aesthetic in terms of the color palette, and I think this looks good.
All right. Dan, what do you think?
I mostly agree with you there, Nico. I think that a lot of the gore stuff was pretty good. There's a couple parts, like there's one part where Lisa stabs Freddy and it looks and sounds kind of like she's just stabbing like a doll or something. It's kind of weird.
I can't tell if that was intentional or not, which is what fucks with me.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get into that. I have thoughts on that. But I like that chest burster scene was really cool. That was probably my favorite
Agreed.
scene of the movie.
Yeah.
And then I remember in the first movie, I really liked near the end when they go to the boiler room, that whole like aesthetic. And they do a similar thing when they go to the factory in this movie and sort of that same kind of aesthetic. I also really liked it here with the different camera angles and everything. And I just thought that part was pretty cool too.
Agreed. I thought that was probably the best kind of segment or section for me was when they were in that kind of factory setting. I really liked it. Also, they do pretty cool things with the lighting as well. They've got like different types of lighting and stuff like that. I thought that really stood out from the rest of the movie. In terms of looks, though, there's one thing I do want to bring up that we haven't discussed quite as yet, which is, and again, this will be something I'll fill in more later with a quote from a very special person, but Robert Englund, the actor who plays Freddy, he's not like super tall. So typically when he's framed and when they shoot him, they frame him in such a way that he appears imposing at times. You know what I mean? Like they frame him properly. He doesn't look like he's very short compared to the other people. There's a scene where, as Dan said, Freddy jumps out and murders some partygoers, but he looks like a manlet compared to some of them.
Yeah.
Like he's just out there and like, brr.
Hey, we stand a short king, bro.
I'm like, someone's gonna knock you out, bro. Like you have no arm reach. Like
Shout
you
out to my
look
short
silly.
kings in the audience. Y'all are valid. Y'all are loved. We love you here at DOTD. We're all taller than you.
Well,
we
I was
love
about
you.
to say, that's fucked up, bro. Not a one of us under 6 foot. But no, so I will say that scene kind of took me off a little bit just because of how short and diminutive he looked in comparison to everyone else at the party. So I didn't like the way they framed him in that particular light. Now, in terms of sound, Dan, I'm going to go ahead and Uno reverse back to you here. How does the movie sound?
I like the soundtrack a lot. I think it's just cool horror, orchestral horror sounds and stuff is pretty cool. A lot of the dialogue and things sounded okay, but there were certain times where I thought it sounded pretty flat and
Yes.
definitely did the sort of like the, oh no, oh my God. Like that kind of just super flat. And
Especially from Lisa. She couldn't emote to save her life.
no,
God,
she couldn't.
no.
Lisa and Jesse had a few lines where I was just like, really? I don't know. I'd say like it was like half and half. Half the dialogue was fine and, you know, just all right. But the other half was just kind of eh.
The scene they've got in the little kind of like pool house where she's like, Jesse, why won't you open up to me? And I'm just like, bruh.
Mhm.
Like, I was, man, I wasn't feeling that scene too much.
And then
at
he
all.
opens up his mouth and something big and gray comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's
When you say it
pretty
like
much
that.
exactly what happened.
Am I wrong?
Dan, you took the predominant thing I was going to say, which was, from my perspective, sometimes the dialogue did fall a little flat or felt a little bit wooden. Not all the time, but just sometimes. And, you know, particularly, I do actually want to give a shout out to Grady because I believed him. There's a part where Jesse shows up in Grady's room and like the first line Grady tells him is like, bro, what the fuck are you doing in my room? And that shit sounded so authentic because I'm like, that's what I would say too.
Yeah.
Like if I just woke up in the middle of the night, like me and Nico are bros, but if like Nico just showed up one night, like randomly, I'd be like, bro, fuck you doing in my room, my guy.
Also, they're not bros.
Uh,
They're literally not bros. They hate each other. They have like the whole like rivalry thing going on,
Yeah.
sort of in a weird way, but they're not bros. And like, how did you find out where this man lives, let alone his own bedroom?
He had a side quest and it was just like a little marker on his mini map. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Must have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the little kind of like relationship between the two of them a little bit. I think that'll play into a larger subsection we're going to talk about here. But Nico, real quick, I want to get your take on the sound as well. How'd you think the movie sounded?
Yeah, I mean, the dialogue was definitely kind of flat at times, and it left a lot to be desired in a couple of the scenes with Jesse and Lisa. But apart from that, it does the standard horror movie thing where you don't, like, the soundtrack doesn't really stand out, but that's not really a bad thing.
Agreed. I pretty much agree with you there. So let's delve into it, shall we? And before we get to kind of the heavy stuff, we'll do a little bit of a softball here. So this movie is... There are parts of it that are just hilarious. I'm sorry. When the parakeet fucking explodes, I bust out laughing.
That shit was
They were
funny.
terrified of that fucking bird. Why?
I had like this voice in my head. It was like the echo of Nico. And it was just going, just kick it. Kick it.
Yep.
Just kick it.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, fair. Like, maybe they don't have like the athletic ability to hit him with like a front snap kick, but when the bird was like dive bombing the dad and left like the tiniest peck mark on his cheek and everyone's all terrified, I'm like, bruh, are you
They were
serious?
cowering from that bird.
And then the bird just explodes and the dad's like, yeah, I think it's a gas line. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I
The
don't think
dad's
so.
like, Jesse, what did you do? Did you use cherry bomb? Was that you? That was you. Really?
And I was like, what did he do? Shove a cherry bomb up the bird's ass and then fucking like walk away? Jesse was the last person to enter that room. He enters the room after everybody else does. The mom puts the parakeets to sleep and then Jesse enters the room. So when would he have done that?
them to sleep.
I think my favorite part about it, though, is like, I don't know, 15 minutes later, we get a scene where their toaster just like
Oh, yeah,
combusts,
catches fire.
catches on fire.
Yeah.
And the dad's like, it's not even plugged in. This is the strangest thing I've ever seen. Your bird exploding wasn't stranger than this. Like, this is just a fucking toaster. Like, weird, but okay. But your bird exploding after like destroying another bird? What?
This motherfucker's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the worst way.
Dude, I don't even know, dude. I don't even know. That dad was in a lot of denial about a lot of shit that was
Yeah.
going on in that movie.
Yeah.
Dad, why didn't you tell mom about the fact that like this woman just committed suicide in this house and there was a murder right across the street and everything else? And the wife's like, what? And then he's like, we got a great price on the house. Everybody calm down. Like, it's all okay. And the wife's like, you're right. And I was like, bruh, what is going on here exactly?
I was waiting for Ed and Lorraine Warren to just like peek out from a window and be like, you fucked up.
Mhm.
You fucked up.
When Jesse comes back from killing the coach and the police come in, like the next morning, the dad's like, yeah, he just needs a little, what was it, like
Kick
a
in
little
the ass.
discipline, a little kick in the ass. Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, the mom's like, we should take him to like a psychiatrist. He could
Yeah.
probably use some help. And then dad's like, fuck out of here with that pansy
Also,
shit.
the fact that he literally wakes up like every day screaming at the top of his lungs, and they're like, "It's fine, it's
It's all
fine."
good. We're great. So I'm glad we got the laughs out now because we're going to transition over here to a different question real quick. All right. So we got this gym teacher here, right, in this movie. And there's a pretty kind of clear interpretation of a lot of the gym teacher's actions in this movie. And he's pretty much presented as somebody who's pretty predatory in nature. So here's a question. I've read some, I guess, one or two potential, I guess, kind of alternative takes on the kind of dream state that Freddy can infuse into the movie. And we'll talk about it a little bit more later, how the rules of this movie don't necessarily comply with the rules of the first movie. But I do want to know, would that change anything for you? Did you just kind of interpret that particular, I guess, kind of coach, gym teacher, however you want to call it, his actions as predatory in the film? And do you think it was necessary to have this kind of character in the movie?
I think he's absolutely a predator. I don't think that that part was necessary at all. I think
Okay.
that they could have just as easily, for example, in the scene where they're at the gay bar, he goes over and I think he like touches his forearm and like stares at him like fucking dead in the eyes and just like, then there's the scene transition where he brought him back to the school. It could have just been like, son, what are you doing here? You know, it's time we had to talk about being a responsible young adult in America. Like, bruh, there were so many like different phallic things, different literally orgasmic things, sexual overtones in this movie, and it really wasn't helping this dude's case that he was acting like a fucking creep.
Fair enough. Dan, what's your take on it?
Mostly agree. Yeah. Coach just like approaches this dude at a gay bar and like Nico said, just like stares him down and like smirks too. Scene cut. And now they're at the high school. It's the middle of the fucking night. how are you like taking this kid to high school without like anybody knowing and making
It's
him run
just
laps?
the two of them.
Just the two of them. And my man's Jesse was looking worse for wear too, bro. He was up in that gay bar like sweating, like his shirt like all open because he was just like had
This
all
is
these
a
nightmares
sweaty
and shit.
fucking movie.
It is actually.
It was
pretty
a sweaty movie.
There's a lot of man sweat going on.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement with the both of you, to be honest. Like, I think it's one of those situations where, like, I think there's just too many small kind of subliminal things that happen in the movie. I think that, where I think it also kind of blends in a little bit with, I guess, probably the next thing, to be honest, to talk about in the movie. But this movie has, as you said, Nico, a ton of kind of like homoeroticism going on in it.
There's
got a lot
so
of things.
much.
And so there's a question here, and this is kind of like debated back and forth to the extent thereof. But do you think that the main character, Jesse, do you think that he is gay? Do you think he's kind of just exploring himself in kind of like a family and kind of in a little bit
In
larger?
a family fun way.
Well, no. I mean, like in a family that's kind of repressive. Look at you, Nico. Look at you. I'm over here trying to get across these salient motherfucking points, and you over here coming with the. Anyways. Don't worry,
I'm just
audience.
being on theme. This movie is fucking goofy.
Well, this is the corner of maturity now. Okay, corner of maturity. All right. So
Can we just acknowledge that Disney is the only character, Goofy's the only Disney character to have canonically fucked.
See, now you got me thinking about other characters.
now you got me thinking if like Minnie got it in with Mickey.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, you're wrong. You're wrong, Nico. You're dead wrong.
Oh, who? Well, I guess
Hawkeye.
Donald Duck, too.
Hawkeye. All the Marvel characters are Disney characters now.
Motherfucker, you
Oh,
know
okay.
I was talking about the original animated joints.
Anyhow, past all of that, that's another review. But nah, so do you think that Jesse was actually kind of exploring his sexuality in a repressive kind of society and family? Or do you think he was legit gay, was aware of it, and was just trying to like stay closeted? What do you interpret? Because that's like step one. It's supposed to be a multifaceted question here. So we're going to break it down step by step. First off, do you think Jesse is gay, or do you think he's exploring? Do you think he's not at all? Like, where do you think he lies?
I don't know that we see enough to really answer that question fully.
I've seen enough.
Because
I haven't.
there's not really much interaction with other male characters. Obviously, Grady is the exception, but I personally didn't see any like romance potential there, really. At least not in what we saw. Maybe if there was like a direct sequel or something and Grady was still alive, then maybe. But now Jesse doesn't seem to be like overly straight necessarily. But again, I kind of feel like those would be like the more stereotypical classifications of your characterizations of straight and gay people or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily mean you are straight or you are gay, if that makes any sense.
True. Nico, what's your take on it? That first piece.
So this is something that, like you said, people debate a lot in the horror scene. And Robert Englund has even gone on record and saying, like, when the script was being written, it wasn't really like an intentional thing, but that just the way it was written, it was almost framed kind of like a really twisted, fucked up love story between, and I'd say love story in like the biggest air quotes possible, between Freddy and Jesse. Like, we've got he's inside me, he's controlling me, I can't, like all that shit, and literally and popping out of inside of him again in a like chest burster scene. Like, there is the most sort of like tension between those two characters, I would say, that has to do with kind of a dominance thing and a real power play that often is the sort of terms that we use to think about sexual and like romantic relationships are often in those sorts of power dynamics. And insofar as the relationship that he has with Grady, yeah, like they're not really bros or anything, but they do have probably the most significant interaction aside from him and Freddy, because Lisa's just fucking useless.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this. The first time I watched this movie, I didn't really pick up on anything at all. But this is like the second or third time I think I'm watching this movie. And I knew to look out for that. And with that kind of context in mind, I saw some shit that's actually like fairly obvious. And for me, I agree with Dan. I don't think we have enough to necessarily, you know, like say, hey, like dude is 100% sure as being gay or whatever else versus the anything else. The way that I view it is I view it as him kind of maybe awakening to another side of himself, or him kind of having these thoughts or thinking about things.
Awaking, because he does the thing in this dream. Yeah.
You get it. You get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because this is the thing. So at the start, you know, like Grady kind of, first off, Grady like turbo pantsed him at the start. Like typically when you pant somebody, you just kind of drop their gym shorts. You just drop their gym shorts, Like you don't go the whole way down. Like that's a yellow card. This man like had his whole bare ass. And I was like, yo, like that's not cool. That's not what you do. Like, nah, bro, nah. Like, nah. That was kind of weird. And then the two of them specifically are always getting punished by the gym teacher. It seems like they're always getting like picked on by him.
Mm-hmm.
And even in like the locker room, the two of them are having a comment. He's like, right fucking there. He's like, what up, fellas? And I'm just like, what's going on there, bro? But I honestly feel, and there's obviously the whole kind of like, and I'm drawing on things as well that I've read when I say this, but there's the whole kind of implication of he kisses a girl but gets freaked out. Granted, he's freaked out because of Freddy shit, but he's freaked out, and the person he turns to is Grady. Like somebody who's supposedly not his bro, but he turns to Grady, and then there's like that shot of him just like hanging over his bed. And then like Grady, I don't know how bothered he is by that. Like, he seems kind of perplexed after a little bit that he's in his room, but when he's like, I'm freaking out, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just need someone to believe me. And Grady's like, bro, I believe you. He automatically believes him. And it's more so, I guess, kind of the quote unquote comfort that he feels with this other man versus like Lisa, who is granted useless, but, you know, I think there is that to kind of look at and talk about.
I can see that, but I feel like if you and your friend, your guy friend, if you're having issues with a girl, you're not going to talk to that girl about the issues that you're having with that girl. You're going to talk to your friend, your guy friend, your bro, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that's why I said, like, you can argue it back and forth, essentially.
Yeah.
You can take it a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that's true. It's
Grady's definitely more sexualized than Lisa, though, in the movie. Like, that's not even debatable.
Oh,
like,
dude, Grady stays having his shirt off, bro.
Yeah, just like fucking hewn, sweaty abs, just like pulsating. It's just like, bro, I appreciate the fact that we're not doing like a traditional like final girl, like, oh, my shirt magically came off. But like, bruh.
So I do want to say real quick though. So there's kind of a fucked up backstory a little bit, where the actor who plays Jesse was actually gay, and he was in the closet at that point in time. And I'm pretty sure the director knew about that.
Yep.
And as I've read quotes saying that like the script kind of got like rewritten to have like more and more and more kind of like homoerotic overtones in the movie. Like the script kind of kept getting rewritten in that direction. And the actor ended up getting actually kind of like, it's kind of fucked up. He ended up getting kind of like typecast as the gay guy based on this and one other movie. So the one thing that he was actually trying not to like have out in the open ended up being the thing that got out in the open anyways.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up. And like,
there's a whole documentary about it too.
Yeah, there's been beef between him and the director forever about it. And he was like, he knew about it and everything else. So I feel like, you know, whether or not that was in there from the start, I feel like it definitely kind of shifted and went in that direction based on the rewrites and everything else that was really going on. So, like I said, it's definitely a lot to digest and unpack there. And I mean, we could spend like 2 hours, you know what I'm saying, like, unpacking all of that.
Totally.
So we're going to move past, but I think if that's something you're interested in or something that you want to know more about, there's a lot of resources and a lot of materials out there about that, because it is, in my opinion, maybe the one thing you can actually like get your teeth into in this movie. Because, oh boy, let's get into the rest of it now, shall we? So I want to compare this to the first. So, and this is one thing, and Dan, comrade, I need you to tell me true,
Okay.
yay or nay, okay?
Yay or nay?
I feel like in the first movie, they had some pretty clear fucking rules as to what Freddy could and couldn't do,
Yay.
and when he could or couldn't
Yeah.
jump in. And in this one, they kind of just fuck it. We'll do it live. Like, they just spit all over that shit. You could be wide fucking awake and Freddy's messing with you, bro. And I'm over here like, why? How? How does this happen? Freddy was, no, what? Did you get the same feeling, or am I tripping?
Oh, I definitely got the same feeling. Like, at first, when shit like that started happening, I was like, oh, maybe I just, like, don't remember the rules or remember the first movie well enough, because I have issues with that. But as the movie went on, I was like, no, this is clearly not how Freddy works. Like, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Like, what? So, yeah, I'm with you there.
Fair. Nico, how about you?
Oh, no, I am right there with you. The whole, like, essence to my perspective here is I love that they didn't give a flying fuck about anything in this movie. This is something that I think is so bad it's good.
Oh, really? You think so?
That's
Okay.
why I like this movie, just because it's such a fucking disaster. Like, I'm not going to pretend that this is some sort of, like, high production A24 joint, or even like, this is a movie that in the circle of like Nightmare on Elm Street commentary, this is like the major outlier in the whole series, I would say.
Oh, yeah, this is like, this film got disowned, bro.
Yeah, like everyone thinks about it as like the first one and then third and onwards.
Yeah.
This one is like the problem child, and I just love that it's a complete fucking shit show.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, quick question for you both. And this is kind of, I guess, something that I saw here. I saw an article that stated, and this again leads into the kind of like, you know, this movie kind of changing the kind of gender norms within horror, especially in the time period. I've seen some media referring to Jesse as a quote unquote filling the final girl role. And I would have to say no, only because he turns out to be the fucking killer. So I kind of feel like the answer is no there. Also, I kind of feel like, generally speaking, if you're going to have a final girl role, there's also got to be more people to die, like actual characters in like a social circle or something like that. Because typically when there's a final girl, there's also a jock, cheerleader, typically nerd, a fat person. So, like, I'm saying, like, typically there's, like, more to it than just the final girl role. So I disagree with that. But just, do y'all see that? Or do you agree with me? Disagree? Any thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I can see the rationale or the idea behind, or like the thought, I guess. The question of it being, you know, him being the final girl. But I agree with you the way I don't think that he is.
Likewise.
Fair play, fair play. So now I want to move into the what would you do, right? And it's going to be pretty straightforward. So first off, the three of us are bros in high school, not at all like real life. And I want to know who amongst the three of us is the one to get like possessed by Freddy.
Nico, because he has a fucked up sleep schedule.
Nico,
See,
that's
you
right.
say that, but I don't remember my dreams ever.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
Justin
true.
always, like, he has some vivid ass dreams. That's a good point.
I feel like it'd be you, Justin, because you're the one with the fucking night terrors and shit.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And sleep paralysis.
Yeah, it's
Fuck.
definitely you. Definitely you.
All right. You got me fucked up, bro. So, all right. So basically, y'all notice at school that I'm over here just
He's
like,
inside you.
y'all notice that I'm just over here like not sleeping. I'm just over here like mad fucked up and shit like that. And I'm like, yo, like, we'll pretend there's no Lisa here because she was useless anyways. I'm just like, bro, like, I feel like Freddy Krueger is like inside me, bro. I don't even know what the fuck to do. What would you say at that point in time? Like when Lisa drove him out to the factory, that's where we are. What would you do? Would you take me out to the factory? Like, what would you try to do?
Bro, I don't even fucking know. I have no goddamn idea what I would do. If one of you came up to me and said, like, this man's inside me, I'd be like, are you high? Are you sure?
Just need a kick in the ass. That's all.
See, It's kind of fucked up that you voted me to be like the one possessed, because I'm also the one, if some supernatural shit was going on, you would be like, yo, I gotta hit up Just. Like, we gotta find out exactly what's going on. So
we're already fucked from the jump.
I think I would read Nancy's diary, like to the end and see what's up.
Okay, fair. And next up, so it's a kiss from Lisa that gives Jesse the power to overcome Freddy and really fight through.
God, that was so fun.
Now,
I think I would do it, bro. I think I would do it.
No. I'm not even talking about that.
You would kiss Freddy?
Great minds and all that, but I'm not even talking about that.
Big ol' smooch.
So it was a kiss from Lisa. What would give me the power to overcome Freddy? What would inspire me to overcome Freddy? What would it be? Knowing me as well as you know me, what would it be that would give me the power to overcome him?
I'd just walk up to you and be like, hey, big up yourself.
You might, I can't defeat him, Justin. Big up yourself. Oh! I can see that. That's a positive answer.
Or I'd just walk up and be like, Riku, don't fall into the darkness, Riku.
This man sitting with the Kingdom Hearts, John? Are you fair? I have to be like,
Sarah.
fair enough, yo. So either one of those. I have a lot of willpower, so just tell me to big up myself, and I tend to be okay through most circumstances.
Yeah.
Through most circumstances. But now, it feels like we just started. But it is time to find out the critic review. So, where do y'all think this movie sits from the critics?
Fucking low.
Give me a number.
I would say like 55, slightly better than neutral.
I'm going to say 48.
Okay.
You're both wrong.
Oh,
okay.
We're looking at a 41% from the critics here and a 33% from the audience. So nothing but super hot fire from critics and the audience alike. I want you to tell me your general thoughts on the movie and your score. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. This movie is a disaster, and I'm not going to pretend that it's not. However, I think that this is a pretty damn clear candidate for Badgical. I think this is just enough of a disaster that I got more enjoyment out of it being so bad as opposed to just getting frustrated with it. And the parts of it that weren't just outlandish, like, were competent enough to be good. Like, the design of Freddy is really well done. I really like the set pieces. The general narrative of it, while wacky, is still fun. I'm going to give it a really, really appreciative 62.
I'm going to go next, and I'll say this. It's never a good look when the dude who wrote and directed the first movie sees what you've got for the script, has mad problems with it, and won't direct.
Yeah.
Like, that's never a good sign, and that's exactly what Wes Craven, R.I.P., did. So, like, the fact that he had all those problems with the script, and I've read what some of his issues were, and I totally agree with him. But, like, the fact that this movie was literally panned every which way, and then Wes Craven hopped back on for the third one, and the series kind of kept going, and we kind of ignored this second one, that's how I feel about it, too. I think this movie is convoluted garbage. I think it literally spits on the entire Freddy mythos. Everybody knows the rules of Freddy. Everybody knows it. Don't go to sleep. But that didn't matter in this one. Like, all the classic beats that you would expect to be in a Freddy movie aren't there. And I understand, like, you don't want to make the same movie twice. But, I mean, fuck me, man. Like, this was just bad. Like, I had Bonner there, and Bonner was cracking up for, like, a good chunk of the movie. And I mean, like, it was just at times, like, so silly. And the thing that really stops me from thinking it's truly Badgical is I think there are parts where it does try to be serious. Like, I think definitely the piece with, like, the gym teacher, for sure. I think, like, I do think they're, like, legitimately trying to convey a sense of horror, like, legit. You know, the whole, like, oh, Freddy's inside me, the whole kind of, like, tummy/chest burster thing. And for the audience, by the way, that's just a scene where, like, the main character, Jesse, is there in Grady's room, but like you could see Freddy's face like inside his stomach, chest area. Like that's pretty cool. And I think those kinds of things for me stop it from being that way. I fucking hate this movie though. It's garbage. It's trash. Like it is not very good at all. It's going to get honestly a 42 from me, with a lot of credit from that going to the visual effects people, the people who did sound. Robert Englund, for everything he's given, does well as Freddy. It's just they didn't give him a whole lot to do. So for that reason, I can't rate it super low. And I had to, of course, rate it higher than Ghost Stories. So that's where I'm at with that. But Dan, where's your take?
I mostly agree with you, Justin. I think this movie is hot garbo. There are definitely entertaining parts like the bird scene and just there's a lot of funny shit in this movie. And I don't think it's intentionally funny, but kind of what Justin was saying, I think that there's serious enough parts and good parts where like, oh, hey, this movie could have been good, or like there's flashes of good shit that stops me from thinking it's magical. Just because, hey, like if it was a little more goofy, then I think I would have rated that. But I am glad, though, that we were able to, at least for a little bit, have a mature, deep discussion in the film. I'm glad that we got that out of it. But yeah, I don't like this film at all. I think I'm going to say 40 for me.
Yeah, to be completely honest, bro, like the whole discussion of sexuality in this one is literally, to me, like the only real shining light in this movie in terms of like a deep down discussion, because I do think it's like between the art and the real life factors as well, I do think it does make for like an intriguing topic. But aside from that, I wasn't intrigued at all. But Nico, to your credit, if the movie had been like 5% more goofy, I'd have been there with you.
Probably.
That's fair. That's fair.
Let's go ahead and put our cards on the table. And trust me, I do not hold aces in my hand. So I'm not going to recommend this one to the audience. I'm not even going to fucking ask. It's just not a recommend for me. But I'll ask anyways because I'm a good person. Would you have recommended it, Dan?
No.
Nico, would you have recommended to one? This steaming pile of shite, you would have recommended it? On a platter. With a spoon.
For breakfast.
With tomatoes. Pause on everything. Why the fuck are we eating tomatoes with cereal? What is going on? And I get that might have been for the eggs, but why did you serve it like that? It looked like you were giving this little... Sorry. There's a scene in the movie where there's like Jesse's little sister and she's eating cereal. Potentially kind of racist name cereal, but eating cereal nonetheless. And like the mom gives her like
slices of beefsteak tomatoes.
And correct, they are beefsteak tomatoes. And I do enjoy eating those with corned beef and rice, but this is not the place for them.
Or like on a burger, but not with, fucking
cereal.
Cheerios.
That shit was like half a tomato too, bro. That was a lot.
Sorry. You took me out of it. We're back now. Continue on.
No, I'm not going to recommend it. I think it's still a really fun watch, but it's not a good movie.
Agreed. So it doesn't get recommended. It's not going to get a golden seal. Nothing for it here. So this one is it's been a while since we really haven't recommended something, but yeah, not going to recommend this one. If you like what you've heard, or if you disagree with us, please do drop us a line. We're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Also, if you want to listen to any other episode we've ever done, anything at all, including a review of the first Nightmare movie, check out our website. That's dotdhorror.com. But till then, look out for one another. Always big up yourself. Try to get an adequate amount of sleep every night. It's actually really healthy for you. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.